So you want to build a light that can light an entire room, and you want to run it off 12 volts, and you want it to be very bright. So I think I've got the solution. This is my 12 volt 20 watt LED bulkhead, made from an emergency light and a couple of fixtures and fittings. 12 volt jack, 2.1 by 5.5, two switches which are on the side, and two 10 watt cob LEDs, 38 by 120. LEDs will cost you around about £10 for two, the jack about £2, and the switches you can pick up for a couple of quid. So all you need to find is an enclosure. This is an old emergency light fitting, and it will do just fine. So carry on watching to find out how I put this together, how I made it, and yeah, see if you can build one for yourself. It shouldn't cost you more than 30 quid, maybe $50. Right, so in order to make what you've just seen, you need the shell of an emergency light fitting. Any one will do. I've opted to go for this bigger one here because it's got a opal, or it's more opal diffuser than the others. It helps spread the light from the cob LED. So take your emergency light apart. You want to strip all of the guts out. You don't want any of this. You don't want the lamp holders, don't want the lamp. You just want the bare shell. There we go. So on the inside you have nothing. On the outside you have nothing. You're going to need, let's have a look, two switches. These are just generic switches that I stole out some shaver lights about a year ago. You're going to need your socket to power it, so I'm just going to use this 2.1 by 5.5 jack. Try and keep all of my projects fairly similar so I don't have to make up so many leads. You're going to need your two cob LEDs. These are 10 watt, but if you run them straight on 12 volts they are 5 watt. This one I have tested already, this one I have not. It's got fixing holes which we're going to be using to secure them to the board. You need a selection of small nuts and bolts. These ones take 2mm or 2.5mm, which is going to be perfectly fine for what we want. You're going to need some thermal paste. Got plenty of it here. And I think in the way of materials that will be it. You might need some heat shrink and bits, but we'll see later on. To solder the LEDs you're going to need three things. You're going to need your soldering iron, your solder and flux. I use the flux because it makes things a whole lot easier. To cut the holes out for the switches you're going to need your multi-tool, Dremel type thing. We're going to change the end on this a little bit later on. Tool wise, a couple of pencils, a couple of screwdrivers, wire stripping tool, pliers and side cutters just in case. And I know I forget something straight away. You're going to need some wire. This is robbed from an old power supply unit for a computer. So without further ado, let's get on with the first bit, and that's going to be preparing the board over here. So I'm just going to adjust the camera. The lighting is not perfectly good in here at the moment because I am trying to make lights as I go. Hence why I haven't been able to get it out here in the evening. So, take your base, take your LED, mark out where you want them to go. I've just done little pencil marks and dots where I'm going to drill. And that's another thing I've forgotten, you're going to need a drill. So, let's get this ready to drill. Now it's time to get rid of as much of the paintwork on this as possible, so that the heat compound will give a better, thermal thing. Yes, I've completely forgotten what I was going to say. Never mind, let's carry on. Now that's done, what I'm just going to do is apply some heat paste to the back of this LED. Get another white. Apply a small amount. I'm not sure how much to apply really. I'm not an expert in that regard, but we'll certainly put a fair bit on. I mean, the worst that can happen is squidge out. Yeah, I think that'll do. I'm gonna flip it over and drop through a couple of these to keep it in place, or keep it square. Right, let's see if I've got any washers. There we have it, one cob LED on the plate. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next one off camera because it's very, very fiddly. And there's a bit of compound coming through a couple of holes, and this could just get wiped off. Okay. And there we have it, both cob LEDs are attached to the base. Now it's time to do a little bit of preparation on the base. Now I'm aware I have cables connected on this end. I'll just go through there. I haven't got cables connected on the other end, but I want to do all my soldering at once. So what I'm going to do is leave this to one side now and start putting my switches in. So I'm going to use the multi-tool again with the cutting wheel. And I'm thinking about just putting two switches side by side up one end, leaving lots and lots of space inside, just in case I want to maybe in the future put in some batteries or drivers to drive the LEDs at the full brilliance. So in that respect I'm going to be leaving all the cables long, so I've got plenty to play with, and leave some space down there for drivers or batteries. Well, I definitely think I'm getting better at doing that. Didn't break a single wheel that time, so I'm happy. This might be a bit fiddly. This is where I cut my fingers off. Next thing to do is to drill the hole for the 12 volt in. Right, you may not have to do this, but I do because I've got second-hand switches, so I'm just going to remove some of the old bits of wire off of these if the iron is hot enough. Right, so we got the neutral on the plug wired, or the negative on the plug wired, going to the neutral on both LEDs. The live is that one there, which will be going to the switch. So, let's carry on. Our first switch is in. We can now wire the live coming in, or the positive, which is going to be that one. And there we have it. Two 10-watt cob LEDs running at probably around about 5 watts on a emergency lighting box. Two switches, one 12-volt in port. All I've got to do now is button it up and test it out. Right, so I've got this old computer supply over here which I've rigged to take the 12 volts out of, and I'm going to switch it on and I'm going to make sure it all works before I put it back together. So give it a couple of seconds to warm up, and we should have the left hand switch do the left hand, right hand switch should do the right hand LED, and the left hand switch should do the left. Wow, yeah, that's bright. So now I've done that, has anyone got any idea what sort of driver I could use on these ones? If not, don't worry, I'll leave it on 5 volts. But now I've done that, I can put it all back together and we can have a look to see how it does in the dark. So if you want to see what it looks like with the cover, the opal diffuser on, then I'm just going to fire it up now. We're going to go 1 and 2, and that's much more pleasing on the eyes. And I think eventually I'm going to use this above my workbench. But I'm also going to have it so that I can unplug it and take it elsewhere. So what I'm going to do now is have a look in the dark and see how well it does.